So, where did Samhain begin? Samhain is basically the old Irish Celtic festival that basically marked the point between the light part of the year and the dark part of the year, essentially starting winter as such. In Ireland, we kind of have we have a winter that starts in November, December, and January. But this was really when, in the old way of doing things, this was when the light part of the year ended and the new year began. And I'm going to play a little video now to kind of talk about that in a sec. But I want to say hi to Dan Breen. I'm keeping very well, Tom Goma, Makara, August Tuhane, and yourself. How are you, Dan? So, as I said already, there is this kind of debate. Although, at the time it was very intensified when I actually did the video about Rathcrachan. People were really getting in on me saying Tlachga is the place where it started. And then I was kind of trying to look into this again. And to be honest with you, there's not really a definitive answer on it, right? Which I'm kind of spoiling it a little bit now, but I was a bit surprised that there wasn't more done about this, even though it's definitely there. And there really is a kind of a very definite thing, especially with Tlachga, saying that that's where it started. But when you go online and you do a bit of research, you read up on it, there isn't really a huge amount of stuff out there that kind of compares both. So hopefully this is what I'm doing tonight. Eddie Lenihan's talk about a veil to the other world and the fairy dimension, which is thinnest on Halloween. Yeah, it's very good. It's very good, and I love Eddie Lenihan. Great Shanachie storyteller. The one thing I will say about the thinning of the veil concept, that's kind of probably a little bit of a later addition, maybe with the Victorian age. This is just something that I've read in research. Not saying Eddie Lenihan's wrong or anything like that, because it's actually what I think it is more so is that it's to do with the harvest and the seasonal change. So I just think the world was a lot more supernatural in a more natural way when there was no electricity and no devices and no machinery and no, like technology as we know it today. So the world was very much a darker place in terms of the light and in terms of the elements and stuff like that, and how you saw the world was very different to today's world. So I just think that the world was a lot more supernatural in a more natural way. I know that's kind of a counterintuitive. I'm saying supernatural, but in a more natural way. Meaning, what I actually mean is like the supernatural wasn't abnormal back then. The supernatural was quite normal because the world was completely different. I think the electrifying of the world, the magnetizing of the world, like all of these electromagnetic forces that are in the world now, or these the electrified field in the world. Maybe my science isn't amazing there, but the electrified field in the world has probably pushed away a lot of the supernatural elements, right? And has kept them at bay because we're living in a kind of a more lit up world, right? And I just feel if we went back to the dark again, where there was no electricity, technology and stuff, that world that once was would re-emerge again. Because it is, and I know that's a little bit like fairy stuff, and a lot of people would just think that that's absolutely insane. But that's what I really believe. Now, I want to actually play a little video for you, because this is actually quite a nice one, because we're going to get into the Christianity thing soon. But the actual origination of Halloween is very much described beautifully by this person, who is an old style monk or priest. For the life of me, his name, I don't know. I think it comes up at the start.
Halloween is a very significant date in the Celtic calendar, because the Celts, as far as we know, divided their year into two halves. The dark half going from Samhain to Bealtaine, is the 1st of May, and the bright half from Bealtaine to Samhain.
That's sort of the old year and the new.
Yes, yes. So that tonight is actually New Year's night. We begin the year tonight. And this is the reason why we have so much predictions. For instance, in the bar in Brack, you have the ring, and whoever gets the ring will be married within the year, because it's at the beginning of the year that you predict, you want to know what's going to happen for the rest of the year. So this is really the new year.
I'm just going to continue on here now because the second half of that.
We have two population groups. We have the normal, the ordinary people on the surface of the land, and we have the supernatural people, the gods and goddesses of the Celts, also the Fomoric, and possibly also the dead, who are living in the sacred hills and sacred sites such as Bruna Boinga all over the country. And these are very important because traditionally they have been believed to be responsible for the fertility of the land. They make the corn grow and ripen, they make the grass grow, they give milk to the cows. And they could cause famine if you didn't treat them correctly. The human population had to...
I just want to give a little break there because there's people commenting, and I'm just aware that the internet is showing up a little bit dodgy, so I apologize in advance if that's going to cause problems. There is a storm happening. But Dan did say, I stood in Knockrow Storm Circle in South Kilkenny in the shadow of Sleenamon. I've heard the energy line. I've heard of the energy lines, and I was skeptical, but I felt a definite sensation. It said Knockrow is unique as in catches the summer and winter solstice. Yes, Dan, there's definitely places in Ireland, places in every town, in very Sanya is just being rude, like, do you know what I mean? You know that you pick up on these things. Like I definitely think every human has the ability to pick up on these energies. A lot of the time we're just totally unaware because we're so full of as I said earlier on, technology and electricity, light, artificial light, screens nowadays, information. We're not actually connected to things. And I'm not one of these airy fairy, like I'm not one of these, like, when I say airy fairy, what I mean, I don't mean as a derogatory term. I mean, I'm not one of these people that's just going around with the head in the clouds. What I actually mean is I'm not saying this stuff to be like sounding a certain way. I'm actually genuinely convinced, right? I'm not just going around the place looking up at the stars and I don't have my head in rationale. Like I do, and I'm not saying the people that do are like that are wrong. That's just their way of living. There's nothing wrong with that. But what I'm saying is that I have a very strong rationale for the fact that I believe the world, the way it is, affects our intuition, our way of connecting, our way of living. That's my rationale. So yeah, Dan, I 100% agree. I've had those experiences in very different places. Newgrange, where are the ones I've had real strong presences? I can't. They'll come to me over the stream, but I want to answer everybody else. Thanks, Dan. I appreciate it. Vanula, great to see you. Hope you're doing well. And it's great to see you in the chat. Sorry, I'm just after having a glass of Coke, so I'm a little bit airy, little bit fairy airy in the esophagus. Mark McCarthy, making my holly branch wand as I type this in setting Australian opals. Now that is pretty cool. That is pretty cool. I like it. I don't understand the insetting Australian opals now, but that's cool. Fair play, Mark. You're very welcome here, man. Bedazzle Hayes, the Brian Buru movie, still going ahead. If I get the money, yes, of course it is. I wrote a novella in its place for the moment because we had. I've talked about this a lot, but look, I will say it because maybe you haven't seen it. We didn't get the money, so I went and I wrote a novella, and actually in the ticker, there you can see that I'm advertising the book, so you can buy the book on Amazon. It has the screenplay at the back, but I don't want to. This is not a Brian Bruce stream, but just to answer you there, Nula, grand, thank God, yeah, thank you, no problem. Fire and water, Mark, cool stuff. Let's listen to the rest of this. So this is a priest who I think he's very endearing, and I know some people kind of give him a hard time for the way he talks because he has a bit of a lisp and things like that. But I just think he's a very informative, well-read, researched guy. That's a balanced approach to Christianity and paganism. I think I'm not a pagan person that practices paganism, but I'm a person that respects the old ways. Like I don't discount them. I don't disrespect them, and I certainly don't ignore them. You know, I think like Irish people. Someone put it very well. It was Philip, I think, from Irish Medieval History. You know, said like I can't. Did he say we have some sort? Like even now we have this kind of very unique Christianity because devout Christians, devout Catholics in Ireland, like believe in the fairies, like, you know. So this to a lot of other Christians around the world, that's kind of pagan, you know, but we don't see it that way. So I don't want to lose you here now. So I just want to continue with what he's saying. We're going to review what he said then.
To treat them with care, make little offerings, for instance, loaves. They laid loaves at the foot of the sacred hills, and even the bar in Brack itself may have been an offering.
And if you didn't?
And if you didn't, they could cause ill luck.
And is that to do with sort of giving fruit and giving nuts and so on, with the kids going from door to door?
It is. It seems to me that this procession of people from door to door collecting fruits and bread and money and so forth, that this is the two-headed Donnan coming back from the other world asking for their dues because they have given the harvest.
I'll be honest, like I think that's a little bit far-fetched at the end, obviously, but I do like the thoughts to it because it's kind of like everything kind of repeats itself, you know what I mean, in society, and everything finds its way of kind of, you know, energetically bringing itself back. Like even there, I was in a place yesterday where there was someone talking about, you know, the people coming in. It was like a place of business, right? And he was complaining, saying like Irish people, like during hot weather, they're never here, and then when it rains, everybody's coming in, and I just think that Irish people have this thing about community. Like we do meet up in pubs and shopping malls, and we always kind of get out and meet each other and kind of congregate, and even if it's piss and rain outside, you know. So it's like I think that's kind of like the old assemblies. Now I'm not saying it doesn't happen in other parts of the world. I'm just talking about it from an Irish perspective. And something I want to talk about is how these ancient sites were assemblies, right? So let's actually move on